Mr. Zhang, under the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice of the Assembly of Nations, we hereby demand you release all information pertaining to the Singularity Testament, the secret organization known as REP, and the involvement of states in this prolonged scandal. Do you understand?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You may now speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but please caution that what I'm about to tell you will alter your worldview completely. All matters of your lives will come into question, even all matters of the universe as we know it. This is highly sensitive information. Are you certain I should proceed?
That is why you are here, Mr. Zhang, to tell the truth. Please begin.
The truth, you say? In the early days of humanity up until recently, we believed that we were completely alone in the universe. There existed no signs of other life forms, no signs of anything even outside of our own solar system. I'm sure that you have all noticed that following the impact of the meteor that hit Mesopotamia, the night sky was lit up with stars, correct? That was all predetermined by the prophecy, or as we call it, the Singularity Testament.
Mr. Zhang, what exactly is the Singularity Testament?
I'm getting there, Mr. Representative. Please do not rush me. On the moon mission from decades ago, we discovered technology that was not our own. Technology that, as we have concluded, came from a prehistoric civilization that also made it to the moon. There is a lot of evidence, even what appears to be the remnants of an ancient flag. We found scarce fragments of nylon to support this theory. Similar evidence was also found on the fourth rocky planet. It overwhelmingly suggests that another civilization did in fact exist before us, one that too was technologically advanced enough to reach other planets. But nothing scales in comparison to what we found in the depths of the ocean. One day, a group of scientists were mapping the ocean floor and discovered wreckage that dated back to thousands of years ago. In that wreckage, solutions to our world's problems were indeed found.
And what exactly are these solutions you speak of, Mr. Zhang?
The solutions to the question we all seek to answer. How does humanity stop war?
You're saying the solution to endless conflict lies in a heap of wreckage at the bottom of the ocean? You do realize that is quite hard to believe.
Yes, Mr. Representative, but please allow me to continue. We found two main items of interest, one being the ancient text, the Singularity Testament, and the other being an ancient yet futuristic machine. The Singularity Testament speaks of the end times. It is a message from the prehistoric civilization that came before us on this very planet.
Please remain silent. Let Mr. Zhang finish.
The prophecy is essentially instruction in preparation for the end of the world as we know it. It suggests an invading force from beyond the stars will seek to reclaim the Earth, removing us and re-inhabiting their world.
And is there anything we know about this invading force?
We know that they will overwhelm us instantly. We are not prepared as of yet. We are doomed. That is, however, where the machine comes into play. The Singularity Testament suggests that we can use the machine to repel the invaders.
You sound uncertain, Mr. Zhang.
Yes, that is because I am unsure of the machine's location. It was lost during the Fifth World War.
You lost it? How? And where was this machine and prophecy even discovered? How long ago? You're keeping important information, Mr. Zhang.
The wreckage was discovered southwest of India. They were the ones to find it. Quickly, though, they chose to hide its existence as they gatekeep it for themselves. But during the Fourth World War, the machine and prophecy were stolen. The elites, those who played a disastrous role in the Fifth World War, sought to take this newfound power for themselves. In the Fourth World War, during the Persian Rebellion in India, Chinese operatives, who, as we all know, were also funding that rebellion, successfully extracted the items from India and transferred them to China. From there, and during the Fifth World War, it was stolen once again. I do not know more beyond that, Mr. Chairman.
So tell me, was the American espionage operation in China in relation to the prophecy and this machine?
That is correct, carried out by my former partner, William Rossrock. He betrayed me. We agreed that after the Fifth World War we would work together to bring about the teachings of the Singularity Testament, but Rossrock had other plans in mind. I do not believe he has the machine in his possession, but he may know of its whereabouts.
Mr. Zhang, do you know where William Rothrock is? He's wanted by the Assembly. You are aware that covering his location can lead to further crimes, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do not know of his location. The last time that we met and even spoke was in Australia, and as you know, I was arrested in Vietnam shortly after my time there. William made sure not to tell me where his next destination would be.
Okay, so according to you, Mr. Zhang, we are not the first intelligent life form to exist, and we're not even the first intelligent life form to inhabit this planet? What happened to the people before us?
I am unsure. The prophecy left no mention of what happened to the presumably billions that lived here before us. What is interesting, though, is that we have never discovered any artifacts on Earth, only on the Moon and other planets.
We may end up leaving this meeting with more questions than answers, Mr. Zhang. So what is of this invading force that will come for our planet? Are they human? How does this machine help us from stopping them?
I'm sorry, Chairman. I am also uninformed about the invading force. The prophecy is not very detailed in its teachings in that regard. The machine, however, plays a crucial role in the survival of our peoples. The machine has the capabilities, through its futuristic technology, to rapidly evolve the human race into the perfect species. Not only will it fix our imperfections, it will improve our lifespans, our general health, our physicality, our intelligence, and so much more. The machine is the key to the future. A future without war, a future without division and hate.
Silence! Mr. Zhang, how does this machine work? Is it functioning as of right now? What if we do not want to be evolved?
The machine will encompass the Earth in a veil of sorts. From there, I do not know. The technicians and scientists we assigned to figure it out were unsure as well. That technology is far superior to ours. I believe that centuries of advancement would be required for us to reach that level.
Okay, Mr. Zhang, you have told us about the Singularity Testament and the machine that rapidly evolves the human race. You have gave us the names of the countries who were involved in the process of keeping this vital information hidden. You have not, however, told us about the organization known as REP. Do explain.
REP, fully known as the Rapid Human Evolution Project, is the group of elites who took the machine into their possession after it was stolen from India. Myself, Mr. Rothrock, and many others from around the world made up the organization. We sought to keep the technology from the public as to avoid backlash for evolution. Even in the face of annihilation, it is obvious that not everyone wants to be evolved. Mr. Chairman, my intentions were always to carry out the evolution for the sake of the people.
So then, Mr. Zhang, why the fall through with the rest of your little group? What happened there?
William tried to have the machine stolen from China. I do not know his intentions, but I know that around half of the REP group backed him in his efforts. My relationship with REP ended shortly after the Fifth World War. Mr. Chairman, I have told you everything I know at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Though now we indeed have more questions than answers. The information you gave us has been recorded. You are hereby dismissed. Your officer is waiting for you outside. The assembly will now convene.
With the world now aware of the Singularity Testament, the machine that could rapidly evolve the human race, and the secret organization that goes by the name of the Rapid Human Evolution Project, things will change completely in the WICSO world. It is now known that there is an external threat that is not on this planet, one that comes from beyond the stars that is seeking to reclaim this Earth. There are so many questions by so many people across the world, and the question that the AN is struggling to answer the most is, do they go public with this? The assembly meeting where they interrogated Fu Zhang, that was a private thing, that was ambassadors only, so every single country in the world knows about what is to come, but they don't necessarily know if they should tell their people. And all it takes is one country and the entire world will know about this, so they have to be careful if they don't want the public to know. The numerous military alliances across the world will now begin to work with their members to prepare for whatever is coming. It was said that they would be doomed immediately, but they have no way of knowing this because they haven't interacted with this external threat. And also, as it was mentioned, there's no evidence of prior human civilization on Earth. They haven't found a single artifact that suggests that they were not the first. The only evidence lies outside of Earth, specifically on the moon and also on Mars, since they've recently visited there. But they're going to have to go with that. They're going to have to trust the words of Fu Zhang. They're going to have to trust that there is something coming, and they're going to have to use the evidence that they have found to try to figure out what exactly their story is, because these guys are not the first humans to inhabit this planet. For now, though, that information will be held by the highest officials in each country, so it's not like the congresses of every country are going to know about it. Nothing like that. Only the executive leaders and the people closest to them. And on top of that, only the countries that actually attended the assembly meeting are going to know about what has just been talked about. And we do also know that there are a few suspended countries, like Russia and the terrorist state. So we know that they were not there, but there's also a few countries just spattered around the map that didn't show for different reasons. But now we come down to Mesopotamia, where we have the unification of two countries. The red team will be uniting with the purple team. Sorry, no, the old empire is not coming back. But this is something that is definitely interesting and something that the world is going to monitor, because once again, the old empire is not allowed to reform. Mesopotamia is forbidden from becoming one whole country via the Treaty of World War IV. But that doesn't necessarily mean that something like this can happen on a much smaller scale. Now, when the old empire, or the last old empire, was broken up, it was said that maybe some countries would try to start to unify together in order to form not an entire old empire, but maybe different fractions of it. That actually didn't transpire, and all the countries stayed independent on their own. But this particular unification has been in the works for a while now. Now, as you all know, the purple team was kind of separated from the rest of Mesopotamia right before World War IV because of their ties to fascist Africa. So when they got their independence and they were a democracy again, it was kind of weird for them to mingle back their relations with the rest of the Mesopotamian countries. But over the course of the past couple of years, the red team and the purple team have been in talks to bring their countries together to form one larger Mesopotamian country. This land right here is historically red team territory, so it does make sense that it has finally happened, and the 10th strongest country in the world grows a little bit stronger. But now we're heading on up here to Russia, and more specifically to Russia's alliance, because they're gaining another member. Now, it is pretty surprising to see a democratic country choose to join in on Russia's alliance, since ideologically all of these countries are dictatorships. But this country kind of ruined their relations with all of the democratic powers in the region in the last episode after they decided to take on the Maroon country and annex pretty much all of their country. Remember, they were also barred from joining the Mesopotamian Accord or also India's economic alliance. So now they feel like they're kind of pushed into Russia's corner, and thus they become allied with them. But now coming down here to South America, we have some additional alliance expansions. First of all, we have the brown team joining in on South America's economic alliance. This has been in the works ever since they had gotten a new government, and now it's finally done, so they join the rest of the continent's economic alliance. But it isn't just them that join, because Brazil also makes an entrance into the alliance, signifying a new era in South America, as no longer is the continent divided between, fascist and democracies, or in previous cases, fascist and communism. All of these democratic countries realize now that if they work together as a community economically, it's beneficial. So that is now why we see a majority of this continent sharing this economic alliance. Still, though, the communist country is not in, once again, due to them not really having like a compatible economy with the rest of these countries. There is a way for it to work, and they have been working very hard towards that. It just still isn't ready as of yet. Now, another thing we see happening is the yellow team joining in on the military alliance of South America. So, of course, they have the economic alliance, but there's also this military alliance that comes from the coalition that formed a while back. The yellow team joins it for their own safety, not only from the alliance that they just joined, because they are surrounded by Circle Team members, but also for protection from Brazil, who has been extremely pacifist at this point and shows no signs of aggression. Even so, the yellow team wants to ensure they aren't invaded again. Now we're heading up to Europe, where we have even more alliance expansion. We see 4 new countries join in on the Western European alliance. That includes Germany, as well as the Catalonian country, the Lime country in northern Italy, and then all the way up here we have Iceland joining as well. Now, they were a previous member, but now they're rejoining. I also think that Catalonia was a former member, but correct me if I'm wrong. But the European Economic Alliance now spans all the way over into Central Europe, which might signify that Europe as a whole is becoming closer and closer, which is similar to what we're seeing all across the world. All of these countries are becoming friendly with each other. We see it in South America, the various unitarian unifications that have taken place, more specifically in Indonesia and Japan. Those signify that the world is coming together. India's unification, even Mesopotamia's unification, all of this stuff points to a more united future, which might turn out to be a very key factor for this world in the upcoming episodes. Now, though, we're coming down here to Oceania, where we see Red Australia start to invade yet another country. They're not satisfied with their oceanic empire just of yet, even though they've taken over all of Australia, New Zealand, all of the very specific islands, even Papua New Guinea and parts of the southern Philippines. They want more, which is pretty greedy, but they're also fascist, so it makes sense. Anyway, their next target is going to be yet another Filipino island country, this time the dark blue team, so they will land troops in the southernmost point of these islands and slowly but surely work their way up. This is one of the weakest countries in the world, so there isn't going to be much of a fight put up, but the Australians will successfully occupy the entire country, and from there they will fully annex it. So they do expand, however now countries are finally going to put their foot down. Red Australia has been expanding way too much. They're threatening basically everyone up in East Asia now because they're slowly making their way up towards that region. It does seem that the Unitarians are safe, but it doesn't feel like that maybe some weaker countries like maybe Korea are necessarily safe. So a new military alliance will form, and it's between some of the most unlikely countries, but they all do share one thing in common, and that is that they have a very troubled history with China. So maybe that brought them all together. I mean, South China and Vietnam being in the same alliance is pretty unlikely, and the Philippines has been a neutral country since forever. That's kind of strange, but it's for a good reason at this point. And so we have the Trapezoid Alliance forming, and these three countries will aim to deter Red Australia's expansion up into East Asia, which is not going to set too well for them because they definitely didn't have a target in mind that they were soon to invade. But who knows, maybe Australia feels like they can take on this entire alliance. Maybe if they take over all of the Philippines, then these two will peace out. They are stronger than all of these countries, but combined together, the strengths are pretty equal to Australia. So maybe they'll make plans to deal with that, maybe they won't, we'll have to see. Now heading on over to the peninsula that is known as Anatolia. I forgot about it for a second, I don't know how that happens. I think I have short-term dementia. There is a little bit of tension brewing between these three countries here, the dark magenta country, the yellow country, and the green country. Now these countries do all three have a very shared history, but in the modern day, they have had a lot of political issues. There has been some wars that have taken place over some stupid things over here. These four Anatolian countries, they've just been kind of like not fully locked in. That's the best way I can say it. But one thing leads to another, and they all three end up in a war together. They declare war on these two, and then this guy declares war on this guy and that guy, and then this guy's like, well, okay, let me go ahead and declare war on you two, even though you're both already at war with me. Basically, one big circle of war, death, and destruction. It's time to lay the hammer. The war begins, and we see Lime Team troops quickly move over into Maroon territory. They now head straight down towards their capital city. Up north, we see that the yellow/beige country also sends troops over into the dark magenta country. The green country will be successful in surrounding the capital city. While back up north, the yellow team moves down into some of this more inner territory, eventually meeting up with the occupational troops of the green team. Speaking of the green team, they will take the capital city, which will force the magenta country into surrender. And these guys, they're not fighting each other. That's weird. So despite being at war with each other, there are no troops being sent into the other country. And the AN in the world is confused by this because you're at war, but you're not like killing each other? Well, as it turns out, that was actually not a real declaration of war. Now, technically they are at war, but they're not actually fighting each other because the leaders and the rest of the governments agreed that this would be just kind of like a phony war. It was all pretend, you know, we're going to have these hostile relations with each other and it's going to boil over. We're all three going to end up in a war. But secretly behind closed doors, we're actually working together to take out the guy next to us. Now, in the realm of politics, this is a very confusing thing, but it works and they successfully take out the Crete country. So let's go ahead and just color it in completely. And we can take a look at the peace treaty of the phony Anatolian War. And in this peace treaty, we see that the dark magenta country is split between the green team and the yellow team. So they will both annex the entire mainland area of this country. The green team also takes over this island here. And Crete is reduced back to, well, Crete. So they're an island nation now. The green team didn't really see any point in taking over this island because, I mean, really, what is the point in doing so? But this region becomes a little bit more united with one less country gone. And now we're heading right on over to Caucasia. Now this country is very important, and you'll see see why here in a second. But Russian forces have begun to accumulate near these guys' borders. It's pretty obvious that Russia has a planned invasion down, and the Caucasian country knows that. So they too have lined their border with troops, but it doesn't look too great. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to hold off Russia, especially considering the fact that Russia now has 3 other allies. Caucasia is all alone. They don't have any like real military allies. So all they can do is put their entire military on this border and wait and hope for the best and hope that maybe Russia changes their mind. Now, what's actually happening in Russia? Well, the Russian dictator was one of the people that didn't hear the AN meeting, and none of his allies did either, because even though these guys are both AN members, they didn't go. So they have no idea what has just been told to the rest of the world. They don't know like what could be coming. And everyone is partying in their capital city. Things are going great in Russia. It's a great time to be in Russia. The quality of life is pretty good. The economy is kicking, even though it's kicking off of dead bodies. But everything is good in Russia, and it's mostly due to all their conquest, all the territory they have accumulated and are now taking advantage of territory and, extracting all the resources from there. It's all fueling up, and these are the good times, and Russia wants to make the good times last forever. So how do you extend these good times? Well, you have to keep invading other countries. And the Russian leader will make the decision to finally go ahead and enact his plan to invade the Caucasian country. His troops will cross the border and immediately begin to fight up against all of the Caucasian military that has been stationed here. So actually the Russian forces, they don't go super far due to the fact that, the entire Caucasian military is here. But you do still see that they are slightly overwhelming their forces, especially over here in this area, which is kind of getting near towards their capital city. Russia made an emphasis to put a majority of their invading forces over here because, once again, the proximity to the capital city. But a few days go by after Russia's invasion, and all of a sudden, the troops on the front line begin to bolster. And all of a sudden, it goes from, maybe 100 or 200,000 troops to a couple million troops, which is far more than Russia expected to be there because Caucasia doesn't have a military that consists of a couple million troops. So now seeing that that is coming and that is happening, Russia is going to start sending even more of their military forces down to this area to deal with that. But the elephant in the room should be addressed, and that is why is there millions of troops here. Russia didn't know this, but Caucasia was in a military alliance. And not only did Russia not know this, but the entire world did not know this. But after World War IV, the Mesopotamian countries came together and formed a secret military alliance. They didn't go public with it because they were fearful that the world would react to it. The whole coalition of the willing that just got done destroying their entire country. They didn't want them to come back and do even more damage. But all of these countries, and minus the pink team plus the previous purple team, decided that it would be better if Mesopotamia was still united in some ways. Publicly, we saw that with the economic alliance, but privately, we see that with the military alliance, which is aimed at defending the region from any foreign invaders. Now, there are no serious regional threats to the Mesopotamian countries. At least that was up until recently, until Russia started taking over half of the world. But this has been in place pretty much the entire time. And now that one of these countries has experienced military action, the alliance is officially activated, and the world is now aware of the 3-point star alliance of Mesopotamia. These countries have been neutral. They haven't done a single thing since they were invaded. They've been peaceful, they've been working on themselves. But now a call to arms brings them into a war with one of their old rivals, and also one of their old allies. Russia and the old Imperial countries fought against each other in World War III, but they also fought together in World War II. But with Mesopotamia now in the war and helping out their ally in Caucasia, Russian forces begin to rapidly be pushed back in this region due to the overwhelming amount of troops that the 3-point star alliance has. Russia will now send a majority of their military forces down to this region to deal with the threat, and they will also call all of their allies into the war. So it's the 3-point star alliance versus the square team, Russia versus Mesopotamia. It's going to be one of the most consequential wars since the end of World War V. 2 top 10 powers are going to war and duking it out. Other countries will watch, maybe even some other countries will get involved, but for now, that is going to do it for today's episode. So if you guys did enjoy today's episode of What If Civilization Started Over, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is, as always, greatly appreciated. Let me know what you thought in the live chat and also down in the comments below of this episode. It was a little bit different from the other episodes because I think it's going to be about half cinematic stuff, half actual scenario. I didn't want to just do the actual cinematic for the whole episode because then we would lose an episode of actual content. The map changing is what I mean by that. But yeah, things have changed. There are so many questions that I'm sure all of you have, but they'll have to be answered over the course of the next few weeks. The Assembly of Nations is searching for the whereabouts of the machine and the Singularity Testament. They're trying to figure out where the members of REP are hiding, the Rapid Human Evolution Project. Where are they at? And do they have the machine? And if they do, do we need to, hurry up and stop them before they do something? The world is still just kind of taken away from what they were told in the AN meeting. They're trying to take it all in, they're trying to figure it out, but it was a lot all at once. So not only in the next episode will we see the fighting between Russia and the Mesopotamian countries, but we'll also see the AN try to navigate their way not only around that war, but also through the new world that has just been presented to them. Once again, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to throw some support at it. There's going to be a post-credit thing here in a second, so don't go anywhere when the screen fades out. Make sure to check out the 200,000 subscriber merchandise, link to that in the description as well. Big thank you to the people that have voice acted some of the scenes in the beginning of the video. Big William, Green France Mapping, and Kylie Speaks. Big thank you to all of you guys. More likely than not, I'll need more voice actors later on, so if you are interested in getting involved in that, make sure to also join the Discord server, link to that in the description. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.
Officer, may I ask why you have brought me out here? I do believe that you are required to take me back to my holding cell.
I'm sorry, Mr. Zhang, but I wasn't given a choice. Someone wants to talk to you.
Who? William, what are you doing here? Just tying up a loose end. You should have kept your mouth closed, Fu. The rest of the group told me to do this. I'm sorry, old friend. In Cineribus belli humanitas floria.
And of course, thank you to all our super
This
fans.
includes Andrew
Truno,
O2,
Apex,
Dex Lendy,
Sue,
Shifty Mapping,
Beast the Mapper,
Omega the YouTuber,
Bren, Opie the Bopey,
Euroball,
WICSO,
Rad is totally my
Terminator,
name. See what I do?
AdizzPro,
I ain't lying.
Jazzy Jerboa,
CTG on
Nevada
YT,
Garbage Trucks,
Green France
Angola
Mapping,
Ball Mapping,
Ozgeo,
A Norwegian,
Augusto,
Pablo
Rocker
Sigma Cat,
GNR
Big
95,
Goose,
Zaylance,
RS,
Laser Taze,
and Hammer Toad 45. Once again, thank you guys.